so I decided to do more.
It's cold.
But our guys did. I mean, we got the big pyramid tent on the end.
Yeah.
And you notice there's a nice little stove in there.
Oh, I didn't go to see that yet.
We kept it up to about 60 degrees in there last night with the wood fire. These guys were, you know, they were fine. They were happy they were in there.
Oh, I can imagine.
That tent was made by the same company that made tents for the Union Army in the Civil War.
Really?
It still exists today. Heller, the Armbruster Tent Company of Springfield, Illinois.
Nice.
So we're still continuing to produce these tents. It's warm in there too. Oh, in there it's all warm. It's hotter. Look, if you want your with the sweater, I've got my 41 jacket, which is a little lighter. It's up to you. Yeah, I thought I was getting a blister. It doesn't seem like I got a blister. I just had to rearrange my sock.
I've talked to all the police.
Sure.
Look busy, dog. Trying to look busy. Trying to look at you, not look at them. Look off in the distance. It's my good side anyway. Never trade the camera.
So what happened to him?
Well, combat patrol out near the front lines. German artillery opened up on us. We took an 88 millimeter shell about 10 yards off our right flank. He caught a bunch of pieces of shrapnel in the knee.
Yeah.
So we're keeping him stable. We got the tourniquet on. What we'll do is make sure that I think the femoral artery got nicked. We'll keep the tourniquet on about every 20 minutes. We'll loosen it up. If blood spurts out, the blood flow is still going. So we'll keep that on there after a couple spurts. If it's not spurting, we'll loosen this up and see if we can continue the blood flow through the leg. We want him to survive blood loss so we can move him back to Battalion A, but we don't want to lose the leg in the process.
Yeah. So is he going to make it then? He might lose the leg, but...
He'll make it. We'll see if we can save the leg. I got to continue to dig out some shrapnel. We're waiting on a transport to move him back farther from the front and get him back to Battalion Aid Station. I can't do much for him here. If I open him up, he'll be dead from infection within a week. So.
Yikes. Okay, well, good luck. We need him.
Get crackers on your face. You're a mess. Can't take this guy anywhere. Come on over, check it out. The worst part about German shells is when they explode, every little piece of metal that was in that shell goes flying in all directions in a big circle. So what was a nice, solid cylindrical piece ends up.
Thank you. Now, we'll hear from you. Let's see. Old Park is coming up. Hey, over at Dixon? Yes. Look up. Somebody just had a crate of those? Look at trainers? Bud's guns or plastic. Okay, Old Park. I think it's in June. It's World War II reenactment. Look at this. Somebody had a crate of This is in Dixon, Illinois.
Yeah, Dixon, Illinois. I will be there. So if you want to bring your mom with you, say, Mom, can we go together? That way she can meet me. You know, I'll see you if you want. If you want to be a member, you know, matter of fact, what I'll do if you want to be a member, I'll count that as your first one. Okay? If you want to be a member, I'll see you at
What I've never found,
if I don't see you at low
that would be very interesting. Because the targets were exactly 1/4 inch in front of the muzzle of the rifle. And the rifle was in a fixed mount. I've never seen the mount either. Because what he was trying to do was teach the guy sight distance. So he didn't have to hold the gun, he wasn't sight it from it. Just move it. And you squeeze the trigger.
I think that's exactly what I picked up on. They've been wrong for I've heard anecdotes that some recruits.
Yeah, you got my name right there. And you want to register as that, okay? Then that way you get your ticket for Lowell Park, and that way you'll know you're gonna be a member, and we'll count that as your first. If you get some guys in, like I said, first one, you'll be a PSC. You get 2 people in.
You got to keep something.
Yeah.
You do.
Howdy.
Got any questions?
My dad went ashore in the Philippines. with an
Tell me about what we got here. I see four rifles. I don't really know what they are, though.
We got a variety of different rifles. We've got
We see an Enfield
3 American and 1 German. This is one we've captured. This is the standard German arm, the K98K, which stands for Carbine, model of 1898 short. This is actually a 1936 model,
2 days after
produced
D-Day,
very,
coming
very
up the
early
bluffs, and
in
they're shouldering
the
03s,
Nazi regime.
or 03A3s, whatever.
And
So
it's
those are
completely
still
marked
weapons, but
with all of the
those
different
Enfields,
markings that were
nobody wanted to
appropriate for the
carry
time.
Bolt
that's what he
action
had, that's
rifle.
what they
Bolt
gave
That's
action
what they
rifle,
gave
yep, absolutely.
And
You
5
can
rounds.
fire off
Yeah, 5 rounds, not
5
10.
rounds
That's 5.
before it locks open on you and you have to
And-
reload.
You always said, well,
Oh, yeah? Okay.
you never
Yep.
really saw the action, but you said you
And
came
that's
in
a
under
legit
smoke screen.
1936
Well, yeah,
This
model.
is a
that was
legit
used during
1936
the war and probably killed somebody,
Yes,
right?
best I can tell, this was actually captured by the Russians,
By the Russians? Okay. Eastern Front, all right.
refinished. These 2 rifles are both M1 Garand rifles. This one is set up as a rifle grenadier's
rope
gun.
ladders down into the
It actually has a grenade launcher on the end here.
But the guy got it all the way
You would
up
actually
on shore
take your
because it
rifle
was like
grenade,
the third
put it on
day
the
of
end.
invasion. So
Okay.
things were pretty calm on
Yeah.
the beach.
And he
And
didn't have
then
a reef to cross
you have your
over.
chamber
Right.
here, where you would put in a
And, he said he sat
block
on an ammo
of
box and
8
watched the
clips. It's
P-38
called an
down
N
in
block
the
clip.
creek bed where the,
You'd
jabs
put that
were.
in, and as you close it, it trips the catch, and you have to get your thumb out of the way
Exactly.
You weren't shooting at him he was
because
going for warfare.
you can very, very easily hurt yourself on that with a little condition called Garand thumb.
Yeah.
And 1 thumb.
And for issues where you're launching rifle grenades off of this, you would clear all of your cartridges with bullets in them and place in a blank cartridge in the chamber, close it up, put your grenade on there, possibly with a little booster charge in the end, which they did issue. Sight up, aim, and fire. Of course, I've got the safety on so it won't go bang accidentally.
Depending on where the bottom of the grenade was, there were little clips, kind of like a clothespin, that
spring.
fit there, and then it would stop right here, so your grenade would only go down so far. It wouldn't go down here.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's
Uh,
the range.
That was the
then, huh?
range,
yes.
based on a 45-degree angle. Now, not everybody had a protractor, so what they did was take that sling, disconnect it, drop it down, and then put a piece of tape on it, where it would be at exactly a 45-degree angle if you stood on it.
Oh, okay.
So that way you always knew the 45-degree angle. They'd mark the sling.
So when there's no wind and the planets are aligned and
about
everything,
60.
how far can you shoot
about
this
60.
weapon? How far can the grenade travel?
Like you said, I don't have a
With the regular
protractor.
grenade and the correct cartridge, you could go almost 200 yards.
Wow.
Much farther than you could throw one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You'd throw one 35 yards.
Yeah, that's
was considered maximum.
It's 2 football fields,
2,
I think.
3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7.
And I want to say they were 25-yard increments, I think.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but you could be correct, sir.
That would be in the technical manual, which would
Now-
be issued to each grenadier.
Is this the
yes.
one that also makes the distinctive ping sound? And then
Yes.
the normal version?
Yes,
anyhow,
what,
yeah.
what this does is after you
7
fire
shots, is it? It rejects
after,
the clip?
after your 8th shot,
8th shot, okay.
the bolt comes back, ejects the last round, and it also kicks out the sheet metal clip with it.
Okay.
That does make that very distinctive ping sound. How far that can actually be heard under combat conditions is debatable.
Yeah.
But when you're out shooting it on your own on a range, you definitely can hear that ping.
Okay. Yeah, and I've heard rumors that the Germans would wait till they heard that ping, and then they pop up.
The Germans or the Germans or the Japanese, yeah, when they hear that ping,
On Guadalcanal, it's the first time Marines and Army actually fought Japanese infantrymen. The Marines were armed with 03 Springfields, which had 5 rounds in the magazine before they had to reload. When the M1 came in with the Army, the Japanese didn't know about that. That had 8 rounds.
Oh.
So what they would do is fire 5 rounds of the 8-round clip and stop. The Japanese would presume they were reloading, pop up to charge, boom, boom, you had 3 rounds left.
Yeah.
They quickly found out.
Yeah.
what was going on.
Yeah, this is actually the 1903 Springfield. And yes, this one is bolt action with a 5-round magazine. This design actually was fairly heavily plagiarized off of the German Mauser design. There was actually court litigation going on in the early 1900s between
1905. 1905.
Between Mauser
the U.S.
and-
government had to pay Mauser $250,000
which
Wow.
they
for
did.
pirating their design, which they did.
I don't believe they paid off until after World War I was
Could
complete,
be.
but yes, they did eventually pay off.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
So the U.S. government does pay its debts, apparently.
No, they didn't use the same caliber round though, did they?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, they did?
These two rifles
Oh,
fired
jeez.
the exact same round, but this one is fired with an
Well, no,
M-block.
I mean the Mauser and the.
Oh, Mauser.
Yeah.
No,
different.
So even though it's
Very
okay.
different. This is 30-06, which is translated to millimeters.
7.62.
7.62. This is officially
7.92.
7.92, or more colloquially,
The cartridges
8
look
Mauser.
similarly, but they won't
Quite fit.
rechamber.
Right. If
The
bore's different, you're
Mauser
not gonna-
round in the base is a little thicker.
Yeah.
Okay, so they won't inter-react. But in terms of ballistics, about the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Weight of bullet was about the same.
both are very, very heavy, fast, powerful cartridges. Able to take down a man or a deer or what have you.
Now, the reason the Springfield, which was invented before the First World War, and the M1 rifle, which uses the same ammunition as this one, for the Second World War, the reason the ammunition is the same is because of General MacArthur, who was at the time, 1936-37, Army Chief of Staff.
Okay.
The M1 rifle was designed for a new cartridge called the 276. Okay, it was smaller and was faster, so hence it would have a flatter trajectory out farther. The Army had approved it. MacArthur said, no, we have too much ammunition left over from the First World War. I want that gun reconfigured for the cartridges we now own. Okay, so it was an economic move.
Yeah.
Because the M1 rifle was designed for a 10-round clip. It became 8 rounds because the rounds are thicker. That's why it's such an odd number, 8. It's
Gotcha.
designed for 10.
No, the Mosin fires another.
What's the last
And
one?
then this last one
Real
over
close
here
to
is
30-06.
actually not a firearm,
The
but
biggest
this is a
difference between those two
training gun.
cartridges,
Oh.
the
Bolt
R's and
action.
wins.
This is
So
entirely
we were
to
around before
simulate
1900,
fire with drill
extraction
purposes
was done by the hook coming over
and
the
manual of
ring.
arms.
When they went
Okay.
to semi-automatic and machine guns,
Just like any other bolt action, it'll twist, turn, pull it back,
why when we developed
and you can't actually put anything in there. So we close it back
Even
up.
The singles,
But this is actually
the bolt
designed so that
action.
when you do pull the trigger,
you don't
there is
slide
an
it
audible
in,
click
Does click.
with that coming forward.
well,
Okay.
that's the
And that gives you the sound and sensation of the action working, but not the actual sound of the bolt going off.
Yeah. Which one is the bayonet going?
That bayonet goes on any of the American rifles. So you've got your Springfield, you've got your M1 Garans, both fit. Let's see if it fits on this one. And it does. Because this was, at that point, the standard length of bayonet that they used. Later on, they actually shortened it down from a 16 to a 10-inch bayonet.
Okay.
Made it much less expensive to produce, much simpler to manufacture, and they actually have discovered over time that bayonets are becoming less and less necessary on the battlefield.
Can you tell me anything about the light machine guns?
Light machine guns here. All right. We've got a pair here that are dueling. We've got the United States rifle machine gun, model of 1919, and the German Maschinengewehr, Modell 1942, which translates to machine gun model of 1942.
Okay.
Both of these are standard issue machine guns during the war. This was introduced later on as a much simpler
And that would be
opportunity instead of going with the heavily machined MG34. This one is predominantly stamped metal construction.
Yeah, it looks really simple.
Yes, it is. And this was designed to be operated by pretty much one or two guys. You'd have a quick change barrel option here. You pop this open. The barrel would normally pop out. This is actually not a functioning firearm. The barrel would pop out. You grab it with an asbestos mitt, pull the hot barrel out, stow it, put a cool barrel in.
So how many rounds would it normally fire before it started overheating?
You'd have to ask a German reenactor that has one. That's not my forte.
Okay.
But typically, when you're firing long strings, every time you have to reload, pop that open, you change the barrel, reload with new ammunition, make sure that's good and cycled, and you are ready to resume firing down the line.
Okay. I was watching a documentary on D-Day, and they were talking about the German machine gun was superior to the American one. It could fire about twice as fast.
Oh yes, this
because
was...
it had some like ball bearings in the mechanism that ejected the shells or something like that.
Okay, this was designed with what's called a roller lock mechanism. There are actually a pair of rollers in there on the sides.
Yeah.
And those rotate into cutouts inside the receiver and inside the bolt. And there's a wedge that pushes them in. It locks it, and it locks it long enough that the pressure drops. It's safe to fire. The barrel does recoil a bit when you fire it, but because of that, it's a much simpler design, and was able to fire, I believe, about 900 rounds a minute, which earned it the nickname Hitler's Buzzsaw.
A buzzsaw,
yeah. It was phenomenally fast, and it absolutely terrified the GIs at the time. They actually made documentary films, training films rather, on it's not as bad as what you think. Its bark is worse than its bite.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was to motivate the GIs to attack machine gun emplacements as opposed to cowering in fear and eventually being mowed down by the absolute onslaught of German machine gun firepower. The Americans, however, have this big heavy hulk here. This is actually riveted together from plates of steel.
Well, if you read up on the history,
this thing is big, fat, and heavy.
Yeah, it looks like that's something that's more adequate to be mounted on a tank or a
yes,
vehicle.
These were mounted on vehicles, but they were also used by infantry as well. This is John Moses Browning's design that dates back to the 1917 of World War I. It was eventually changed from being a water-cooled to being an air-cooled, making it much lighter.
Yeah.
By tens of pounds, because you didn't have to carry all that water in the jacket.
Right.
But it also reduced your effectiveness with your rate of fire. It had to be cut down considerably, and you could only fire in short bursts. Otherwise, you would overheat the whole mechanism, particularly the barrel. And for that, pop that open, place your new rounds in, down and secure, and you're about ready to fire. Now you want to make sure that you charge the gun as well during the reloading process, because this is a closed bolt gun as opposed to open bolt. And that means when you pull the trigger on a closed bolt, you've got a hammer swinging forward that sets off the whole chain reaction. With an open bolt gun, you pull the trigger and the whole bolt itself, big hunk of metal, that's what slams forward and back. And that's what actually lights off your cartridges as opposed to a firing pin. But this is considerably heavier, and when broken down, when you have to transport it any length, you have to actually unload it and release it from its base. You have your gunner carry this. You have an assistant gunner carry your tripod, and you have most everyone else in the squad. You're carrying all of your extra ammunition, and that still will go through hundreds of rounds a minute.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
They're not original.
They're not?
They're reproduction.
Right, yeah.
So remember Band Brothers?
That is so
Lieutenant Winners.
Did you guys sleep in these beds last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, were they comfortable?
Comfortable but cold.
Yeah, cold, I can imagine. It's freezing here for beginning of May, so.
I think it wouldn't have been too bad if we weren't right next to the water.
Yeah, the river makes it
And the
cold.
rain at Mount Weaver.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least you guys had some music to listen to. Really cool. Oh, let's get away from his video.
Oh, it is.
Shot an M1.
You guys are the Airbornees?
Here.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Okay.
Mineral salts.
Mineral salts?
I know, isn't it? But he kills like 3 more.
Where would you have landed in Europe?
Baker Company landed
Once again.
Did you turn around?
behind Utah Beach.
Back in the day,
Oh, yeah?
That's what they look
Okay.
like. And Milky Way?
Purpose of the
And you
landings
got a
was
candy bar.
to
They do
secure
really
the
smell like something.
what they call the roadways, basically.
Yeah.
The junctions, road
A lot of the
junctions,
stuff's original.
everything behind the beaches, so that when the landings took place,
The candy bars.
the troops landing on the beach could move in.
Okay.
It's an unopened.
So are you guys like the Band of Brothers then, or
Kind of.
kind of?
Kind of.
It's been a long time to collect.
502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment
Yeah, I
was
can imagine.
everywhere that the 506th was.
Like the
It's
typewriter
just
like
not
this.
as well known.
Yeah.
Keys are stuck down.
Okay. Yeah, I remember in the first or second episode, whatever it was, they took down a bunch of heavy artillery. That was their job, I guess.
Great Court Manor.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Oh.
You're welcome.
So what's going on in this camp here?
Rifle
Oh, we're the
cleaning,
same
sir.
camp.
Oh, the same camp? Okay.
Yeah. This is beautiful.
This is rifle cleaning and
This is like your barracks then? or-
Oh, yeah, this is kind of how we sleep in the field, like all the cots.
Yeah.
Cool!
Is that good?
Yeah! Cleaner rifles right now.
See a bunch of young soldiers. I know the average age was, what, 18 or 19 for a GI in World War II? Or-
Actually, it'd be
Tad
60.
older because they
Tad
drafted
older?
up to 35, so I think the average came out to about 20, 21. That is
an
average.
Yeah, but sometimes they were like around the age of 16. Yeah.
I mean, not many,
Oh.
but they did draft their, but there's 33-year-olds too.
Right, yeah, like, you know, our grandfather.
Yeah, he was 33 when he drafted.
Yeah.
Were your grandfather
So I
when
mean,
you
that
drafted?
does drag the average up. I think the average age was actually 14.
Questions?
Vietnam.
About our setup
I
here?
see you have some captured German stuff here.
Yup. We got good old Hitler Youth knife.
Okay, look, bud, come here.
Let's see if you can zoom in on that.
Yeah, that has a hole.
Yes, I know, right?
What does it say? I can't.
I don't
it's
even
not
know.
focusing, but it says something, huh?
Yeah, it says something. I don't know. I don't read German.
All right.
It's a great knife. I like it. One of my favorites. Good old sword. Officer sword.
Now it should have a little oil put on it. Okay.
Wow. Eagle and everything. Is that real or is that a replica?
Replica.
Yeah.
Really shouldn't use any of this stuff.
Good old German grenade.
Well, yeah, I don't have any.
Helmet, because why not?
And what size helmet? Because I know that the Germans were the only ones who
This is an early war
different
helmet.
sized helmets.
It's an early war helmet. So it's small. And then you got the flag here.
Yeah.
You wiped all that down?
And then what do we got here? We got a parachute,
Parachute,
flotation device.
Reserve chute and gun case.
No, I'm telling you, all he did was run it down
What's
with
this
the
thing?
snake.
This is a case that they would put their weapons in.
Oh, okay.
So the M1 Garand, my bad, was, as you can see, twice the size of this bag.
Yeah.
So they would have to disassemble it and then just put it in the bag. That's sort of what pushed the movement to
Until they ditched doing that so they can just jump straight with their rifle.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, my grandfather.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't bring your helmet, Tucker. Because I didn't think you'd want it. Tucker.
But are they doing like a field panel? Or
I know there's a field I know there's going to be a big field
Dzień dobry.
Dobry.
Tell me about yourself here.
First Tank Division.
First Tank Division?
Excuse me?
Tank Division?
Tank Division.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
We fought from northern France through Belgium, Holland to Germany.
Okay.
The biggest and the main battle was Falaise.
Yeah.
We liberated lots of cities on the way to Germany. Breda was the main city what we liberated, technically without even fighting for it.
Okay.
And some cities was in Belgium, right? Was changed for some days name for Maček. They call Maček.
Sorry, this one was the city was in Germany, northern Germany, and it was just only one Polish occupation area during World War II, and like he said, the city changed the name for Maczków. Maczków is a similar like last name of Polish General Maczek.
Okay.
It's just one in a history. What you can find in the whole history of World War II. It's very, very...
Our unit basically was made from soldiers who escaped in 1939 from Poland to Hungary. Then they escaped from Hungary. They escaped to France. In France, they fought the 1940. Then evacuate or escape to England, and in Scotland was reborn again, and then sent to northern France to fight.
So what kind of tank did you guys operate? A T-34?
We have Shermans.
Oh, really? Okay.
T-34, it was a different
The Russian,
side.
yeah. Okay.
The little ones.
So you guys are Polish soldiers in exile then? Is that the word to use? Or?
You know, our
we were the Polish soldiers fighting in British uniforms, but they were under Polish commander, under Polish government, and we was part of the first Canadian Army in Europe.
So that movie or the show Czas Honoru?
Czas Honoru, yes.
Yeah. That's based on.
Well, the Czas Honoru, it's lots of true stories put in.
Oh, really?
Life on few guys.
Yeah,
you know. So that's basically how it is.
Okay, but it starts off with Polish soldiers living in England, who are then parachuted back.
Well, there was one unit they call cichociemni, blind and quiet, and they was trained like a special forces. They train them to do everything, like blow up the bridges, make fake IDs, use all kind of weapons, fight with bare hands, whatever. They send them back to Poland, and they was like creating under partisans units who was fighting against Germans.
Okay.
And then after the war, it was fighting against Soviets.
Show me a uniform, yeah.
Yeah, this is a complete uniform which was used by our originally by our unit, 1st Tank Division, and especially we are from 10th Dragoons unit, because which was
It's the Scotland when we was.
Okay.
Our unit was created.
Gotcha.
And in here you see the patch from 1st Tank Division.
Now, this patch is all tank division in Poland had. This is they call wiewiórka, square, because it looks like kind of square, but the helmet and wings that symbolize the Polish Husaria, unbeatable for almost 100 years.
And in here another patch you can see
the colors of our brigade.
Okay.
Unit.
What kind of guns do we have here?
Peter? I mean, the basic guns what we used was a Sten gun, Ren gun, Enfield, Thompson.
This is a German gun, right?
No, that's a British gun.
Oh, British. Oh, okay.
Piece of crap, but
Yeah.
like everything with British.
And you don't like British?
They always, when they create something, you ask why. Why so complicated? Why so unique?
Did you see my uniform a second ago?
No. Okay.
I will show.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Proszę.
I'll come back later.
I would say nobody helped Poland. They betrayed us, left us for Soviets.
Could you imagine in full sun, something like that?
She's battalion 8. And now she's fly helicopter. Yes, I know that one.
Young people think it's all way to run. Because they live forever. You're not old.
Well, they have different things.
He's a drone man.
But they have different stops. There's like 4 stops getting out to the actual. Let's say the big bad.
My dad made me quit the job that
So you ran out of money for the flying.
Yeah. So I only got 4 hours in.
Not enough to solo.
No.
But you did know how to take off and land.
Yeah.
Not land. We hadn't gotten the land. That would have been at 6 hours, I think.
Okay.
But my buddy was doing the same thing. 15 years old, he was out there. So here we are, bicycles, right? Parked at the pilot farm.
How we doing?
Too bad.
I should say guten Tag.
I don't speak a lot.
No?
Just small catchphrases.
Yeah, same here. Who's got the motorcycle?
Unit commander.
Yeah.
He's busy in his tent.
Talk to him about that at some point. So, okay.
Where's your site?
Oh yeah, can you tell me about it?
Okay. This has a sidecar bell. We could ride this one.
What do you want to know?
Well, what year is it? How'd you acquire it? Is it a replica?
I didn't hear you.
Is it a replica?
Yes, but there's a lot of original parts on it, guys.
Okay.
The boat's original. The boat's original. Tank's not.
So the boat, you mean the sidecar?
Yep.
Yeah.
We all call a boat.
Yeah. Nice.
Ammo cans are. The machine gun mount's original.
The machine gun's original.
Oh yeah, this is a date of 45. This is big time original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a German gun?
MG34.
Yes. Yeah.
MG34. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Buzzsaw? Or?
Nope, that's the MG42.
Okay. I don't know my.
She
German
fires
guns.
around 900 rounds a minute, and with a medium bolt, that's gonna fire. Excuse me.
That's all right. Yeah.
That's gonna fire around 1,500 rounds a minute. How'd it go?
Good.
Good.
I go back at 3:30.
You're not done? Because I got Faberwürfel and throw it. No, but she's a good girl. She runs really good. Runs like a damn race car, actually.
Okay. Is the engine real?
Yes, but it's you notice the Chinese riding on it?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, they redid
pinned it, or
absolutely.
Huh.
We did everything.
So it's boxer engine. How many cc's is it?
It's a 750.
750. About how much horsepower did that make?
I'm not sure.
No.
It'll kill you.
Okay. Yeah.
It would definitely kill you.
I see it's got an electric starter on it.
Yeah, we put that on there, but you can also kickstart it. But she's a good girl. Lilybug.
Lilybug.
Her name's Lilybug.
I cried. I cried because the Germans got overtaken.
My neighbor's a big-time BMW motorcycle enthusiast,
Is
so
he?
I'll have to try to get him out here tomorrow.
Yep, we'll be here tomorrow.
He's got
42.
one from the 50s, but it's a boxer like this, and
It's cool. Yep. I've been giving the kids rides and they love it. And
yeah.
so she's dusty and
How many gears does the transmission have?
it's a 4-speed. We'll see.
4-speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually, I can get another gear out of it.
Really?
We don't want to talk about that.
No. Okay. Well, cool stuff. Thanks.
You bet. God bless. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Well, here you go. That's a good picture from that's my There's this here. Yeah, well, this is our comp there in Amitel. It was we literally had a 100-meter long by about 100 meter wide, 300 meter long by about 100 meter wide top. Yeah, my room. Yeah, for the first time I used the M1.
want a bag for that?
Red.
Do a bag. Put the money away first. Don't lose it. I'll get you a bag. Taking up all your space.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Things are popping up.
These are neat, Mark. Aren't they like cold stuff?
I was saying it's over there now about the shade. Are you
What's
like
that?
a newspaper?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm just a hobbyist. You want to be interviewed though?
Oh.
Be on YouTube.
We'll be on YouTube. You want to be on YouTube, guys?
What is that?
He's a hobby.
It's a, I think
I got hot dog. What is it?
for the right.
You know, it seems like it's one of those days where you're constantly taking something off or putting something on.
Shoes.
Nani, watch out.
So anyway, there's one friend of mine, he died a couple years ago. I think your dad out, sorry.